to another edition of Entering the Light Fantastic, a channeled message from Beyond the Veil. In this series, my dear friend, medium and channel extraordinaire, Marty McCrae, channels my son from the other side. He wanted us to set this up and do this series so that he can give us insights and help from the other side to help us cope in today's world. So Marty, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
It's great to be back.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything that you want to mention to the audience before we get right into the channel session today?
Yeah, I was just going to say briefly, thank you to everyone who's been watching. We hear from a lot of you, behind the scenes between our videos, and it's really cool because so many people are watching, and then they take away, everyone, whatever Robbie says sometimes, which I don't remember, and I don't watch these because I don't want to influence myself at all. I would be very self-conscious watching myself on video, so I just don't do it. So I just want to thank everyone, because to me, I used to not really believe in people that would channel. I thought, okay, that's weird. And I don't know, maybe I've said this before, but to me, it takes a very open mind to trust that what I'm doing when I bring through Nancy's son who's passed, that's really him. And I guess what I want to say is we, Nancy's family and I, have validated with all the evidence that Rob has brought through over the last year. And that this is really him. We know him, we love him, and this is really their Robbie. And it's been a real honor to get to know him in spirit and make a spirit friend. That's what it feels like. He just pops in now really easily. And I remember when we first started, it was a little awkward, just like when you're getting to know anyone. You're like, getting to know likes and dislikes. And so that's been really, really amazing. And I thank you, the audience, for tuning in and believing that, we're the real deal, because we really are. And it's really nice. It's a really nice experience.
And to piggyback on what you said earlier about the message, it's amazing how Robbie talks and brings a message in, but yet it speaks to different people. Different parts of the message speak to different people. So he keeps it very, very relative.
Yeah.
So, it's an honor, and I know he picked you because you guys have the same sense of humor. So
we do. We definitely have that in common.
So again, we don't really know what Robbie wants to talk about. I always write down a few things, what I want to start with, but Robbie usually takes the ball and runs with it. So without further ado, if you're ready, I will allow you to go into trance, and I tell the audience this takes 3 to 5 minutes, and I always edit that out. When Robbie's ready, he usually gives me a shout out. So Marty, take your time, and I will wait to hear from Robbie.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, my son.
Hey.
Good.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm always doing well when I get to talk to you.
It's great. It's great. It's really, really cool. Feels like it's been a while, but I guess not too long.
No, only about a week.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot's happened in that week. Where are you coming or talking to us from today?
Today we're in that same big auditorium that we've been in before. It's, I don't know, you guys haven't really seen it. So it's a big, large auditorium, and it's pretty dark. I'm usually on the stage because that's where I like to play, and jam, play concerts. I got a lot of buddies over here that I play the drums with, and different other instruments. But this is where we do it. And a lot of times we have like a really big audience here. And today we don't. Today, I just wanted this to be like kind of quiet and more of a quiet type of talk,
Okay.
I guess, more serious.
Oh, so is it you and Marty and myself today?
Yeah,
Not
yeah, this
anything.
does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm picturing you standing on a stage with a dim light over you, and the seats are a little darkened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you got it.
that's kind of a dramatic setting. So for that dramatic setting, and I know that sometimes you come with a few ideas or a few things that your guides or counsel has asked you to talk about. Do
Yep.
you have anything that you want to talk about before I ask my questions?
Yeah. I mean, today it's all about, hmm, how can I say this? Let's see. Uh, difficult people. That's probably the best general category I can put this in. Dealing with difficult people in your life. And I guess, well, it all comes back to love. Um, and my guides have told me specifically that that's what they want me to share today is to talk about how it feels on earth for you guys to deal with difficult people. And I mean, I really remember it. I remember it well from when I was on earth. But it's hard. It's hard on this side, I'll tell you, because over here, as we've talked about many times, we're in perfect love on this side of the veil. And, you know, people don't really, you know, piss me off over here. Let's just say it that way. I don't get pissed off anymore because there's just nothing to be, angry about. There's no, we're in perfect heaven. We're in God's perfect love over here. So that's a way you want to put it. So, we don't have to worry about money. We don't have to worry about bills. We don't have to worry about, you know, putting food on the table or, how am I raising my kids or, there's just no earthly concerns. So it's imagine the world, you can enjoy the best of the world, right? Without with no stress. So that's the ideal way to live. So on your side, people have all this stress, and some people's souls cannot handle stress as well as others. Let's just say that that's a beginning truth. That there are younger souls and there are older souls, and the difference primarily is how does that soul handle the stress of being in an earthly environment. That's my opening statement.
Well, it's interesting that you said that because a couple of my questions had to do with when we choose a life that we're going to incarnate here on Earth. We're here also for the advancement and education of our soul, correct?
Yes.
And the way we learn that is by certain scenarios and people and experiences that we have to deal with. But it's a lot more complicated than that, I'm sure, because let's say we have a difficult parent that we have to try to deal with. So we look at it from how it affects us. But also, there is a reason why that person, that soul, agreed to be the difficult parent, right?
Yeah, yeah, in a lot of cases, yes, yeah. Um, there are some cases where it's the energy of Earth that can affect people dramatically. And so that's what I want to put in there. There's a piece that people on the earthly side are not understanding about mental illness
Ah,
and stress. Um, that yes, you're correct. Um, our souls make agreements with each other and with God over on this side. But when we then go down to earth, you put that story overlay on folks, living in earth, and maybe it doesn't go just like what we had planned. Because it's like, mm, just like what I was saying, stress of earth affects different people's souls differently. So it's like that's the X factor, you know, that's the little secret sauce or whatever you want to call it that that kind of throws a wrench into the works. So you may have all these great soul plans on this side where I am, and because you're planning it here in perfect love. And so maybe some people bite off more than they can chew. Maybe, you know, the X factor is the stress of the earth and how well or not well can that soul handle the stress.
So, what can we as human beings here on this earth then do better to complete our missions and to handle those people?
Handle the people. Handling difficult people, you mean?
Sure. Or not handling them, but um, accepting and understanding them, I think maybe is a better word.
Right. Okay. Hmm. That sort of leads us to the second part of this talk. And
Okay.
so I don't know how I'm going to be able to describe this in earth terms, but when noticing people and how they behave, you'll as you get to know people, as you get more life experience as you go on, you'll start to notice patterns in how people behave and what they're what am I trying to say? Patterns in how they behave will alert you to how well or not well they're actually handling stress. It all comes back to love. This is the most, I think it's the most difficult part about loving people, you
Hmm.
know, because I mean, you can be a people person and like most of the people you meet, you know, like I know for me, I try to look at the best of people, you know, when I meet them and think the best of them and focus on the positive and, you know, try to make everyone, know that I care about them. But there's a few people that you're just not going to get through to no matter what you do. And learning how to deal with those people effectively, especially like what if they're in your family? What if they're a sibling or a spouse or a son or daughter? You know, what if they're dealing with depression and they just never really respond how you would want them to respond appropriately? That's what mental illness does to people. It keeps them from responding appropriately in any given situation. So it all comes back to love. And that's the hardest part, I think, about love is to love people when they're unlovable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's easy to love somebody who's cheery and loves you back. It's
yeah,
hard.
that's easy.
Yeah. It's harder
Um,
to love somebody who's mean or abusing you but
yeah,
that's exactly what will heal them, right? Or help heal the situation, or really all we can do.
yep, yeah. So I guess that's the main thing that was to be communicated today from one of my guides in particular, and uh, Jesus, said, reiterate about loving difficult people. That really is the only answer. That really is the only solution. Um, it's not rewarding. It's not fun. Sometimes it's not a. Maybe you don't get much back. You know, um, so it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge that way because you have to keep extending yourself to someone where it, the normal rhythm of a back and forth in a relationship would be like, I give something to you and then I get your positive response and it's cool or it's everything's cool, but when it's a difficult person,
One
you're
sided.
throwing stuff out there and you're like, hey, nothing's, nothing's sticking or nothing's coming back. And it's like, yeah, trying to play catch with someone and they never throw you the ball back. You're
Right.
like, okay, I'll come get it again, but it's hard. It's really hard.
But that process also teaches the one throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah.
That's,
And that's the point of it.
yeah.
The point of your life there is not to be easy or fun. And I gotta say, I gotta be honest. In my life, I, if I'm with difficult people, I'm pretty much going, and I'm making my life how I want it to be. I'm not gonna be, I'm not, I wasn't unkind to people. Let's put it that way. I wasn't unkind, but I'm not gonna want to hang out if you're just annoying and, I never really get the right response. That person pretty much is going to be left alone. And I know I dismissed a lot of people because they were just too much work. Because who needs it? You're busy doing other things. And, kind of our culture promotes that of just, oh, if something's difficult, let it go. There should be something much easier is going to come along and, that's going to be way better. It's just not like that. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not meant to be like that. We've lost sight on as humans, we've lost sight, or you guys have lost sight of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves love. Everyone deserves kindness. Everyone deserves mercy.
And putting the effort in to,
Yeah.
but Robbie, I understand what you're saying, but you're not telling us either just to surround yourself always with difficult people. We
No.
can't do that. But
No.
and there are some people that we just cannot be around because of the toxic level. So in that case, I, for one, try not to judge them and keep them in my prayers. Does that help, or would you suggest something else?
It helps. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's nothing you can do. You shouldn't be seeking that out. But when you run across them, yeah, just if you could mentally send them love and a prayer instead of getting angry or irritated or judging.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty of that. I've judged in my life because we all do it. We all do it. We all judge, but you just never know what that person was going through. If they gave you a hard time, or I don't know. It's hard for me because over here, that's what we forget. That's like the first thing to go of what's it like to live on Earth. You forget how hard and how sort of pushed people are, just pushed to their limit a lot of times just by their lives.
Yeah.
And to then go beyond yourself when someone ticks you off or cuts you off in traffic, or someone you have to work with is just constantly annoying. um, yeah, it's really hard to keep that in mind, not to judge, to come back with love.
Yeah, it's easy to have the knee-jerk response of, you know, attack anger with anger. It's much more difficult and takes a lot more work to turn that around,
Yeah,
respond with love. But I think that's what your guide tried to teach us when he was here
yeah,
the whole time. And I think, you hear people talk about, what's the most powerful power on earth or in the universe, and it's love.
yeah,
And if used properly, love is what performs miracles. Never
it
ends.
is. Yeah, it's
Never.
what it makes that connection between you guys and us over here. The bonds of love are never broken. They just aren't. There, if you created a love bond with anyone during your lifetime on Earth, you still are going to be connected to them when you cross over, and that's a good thing. It's always a good thing. The more connections, the better. Even if I know some people might think, oh, well, maybe I don't want to have that person in my life anymore. Maybe I, broke up with them for a reason, or. So It's not like that. When you're here, every person that I've ever had a connection with, let's put it that way, and they're on this side, I'm seeing them. I'm hanging out with them. It's all good. Everything's all good over here.
Yeah. That's Now, have you met or talked with anyone in depth, Robbie, who sacrificed their time on earth by coming in and to serve a purpose, let's say as a mentally ill soul?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they did that probably again more than two parts or more than two reasons, but one was to teach their soul something and experience, but the other was to affect or teach the people around them. But when they come back and have done that, what have they brought back with them from that experience?
Interesting. Well, they're the greatest teachers. They're the highest level of souls,
Mhm.
that that incarnate to do that. So when they come back here, um, it's not pretty. I've heard a lot in classes about this, about the ugliness. I mean, they do report back on the ugliness of humankind, of how um,
They were treated.
yes, how they were treated was so shockingly bad.
Mm.
The flip side of that is um, mostly, depending where the person was in the world, but mostly what they're remembering is the depth of kindness and love that in other words, the bad was way worse than what they thought it might be, and the good was just extremely good, you know, uh, pure and loving and kind, and it's the highest, best thing, that type of love that they received. So it's
That
sort
they
of like
receive when they get to the other side, or that they received from a few here on earth?
from a few here on Earth, and
Oh,
then to
okay.
go back to the other side, you were asking what did they carry back with them,
Oh,
and
okay.
what
I
they
see.
carried back with them is the worst was way worse than what they ever dreamed of or imagined. On the other side, it was like shockingly bad, but it wasn't as prevalent as the love, and the love was, 1,000 times better than anything they had expected.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah, the highest form of love. So yes, you should take that and go, oh, okay. So if you can think about that, think about the difficult people you've had in your life. Think about the, people who are struggling with mental health issues, or even, physical disabilities, or people that maybe try a normal person's patience. What's normal? I mean, everyone's got issues,
Sure.
but um, in particular, there's certain issues that make a person on your side of the veil tough to deal with sometimes, because they're moving at a different pace than everybody. It seems to be their energy's different or off a lot of times. It's not really corresponding to what their environment might ask of them, and they may not be aware of it. And so it's frustrating to deal with them, because you're thinking, come on, why aren't you understanding this? Or why don't you respond in the way that everybody else is? Um, those situations are
Trying
that's yeah,
us. Yeah.
that's what we're talking about, is those type of situations, that you should be your kindness, and slow down and be at your best, and try to match energy levels with that person. You'll never know how much that means to them. It's well, you will. You'll know it when you come over, right? You'll know it then. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. I wish we had more tools and more education.
Yes.
on that.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. And that's okay, so that's something that is changing now about our world. It's one of the last things to change, because well, I'm trying to look at like all the human problems that we've had over the years, and you know how racism, sexism, all these isms uh, used to be fine and socially acceptable back in the old times, and now that we're coming forward, all that stuff is hopefully it's dropping off. It's not okay. It's becoming less socially acceptable. Discriminating or treating people in a bad way just because they're different from you. Well, this thing of disabilities, mental disabilities, physical disabilities, that's the last thing that's, because we're finally, on Earth, um, we're finally focusing in on like the LGBTQ, that whole movement. And now we're on to physical disabilities, and that it's the last sort of situation where, people are treated terribly, and most humans are like, what are you going to do? That with mental health facilities and, the way mentally ill people are treated or the way people with physical disabilities are treated, it's starting to change. That's the hopeful part. But that's where our energy on the other side is now is we're focused in prayer on changing the energy of because when you love completely, you have to love um,
Completely.
yeah, right, yeah, the unlovable. You have to be able to love the unlovable.
So, Robbie, you said that the people that come in to play these roles and to, let's say, I'm saying play roles, um, as a mentally ill person or as, somebody that's not lovable,
Yeah,
are usually old souls. So, on the flip side of that, to use your term, are there also old souls incarnating with us now that are here to demonstrate this is how you should treat these people? Which goes along with raising us all up and the whole part of the shift and the new way of looking at all this. Are there old souls on both ends of the spectrum here trying to work with us and show us?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Because those are brave people. Those are brave people that defend the downtrodden, if you will, and it takes a lot of courage to do that.
yeah. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of kids today who are coming up. And by the time the kids, people who are kids now, like I'm talking like they're maybe in junior high age now, that age of kids on up, that seems to be what that generation is all about, is righting a lot of wrongs, um, fixing things, fixing what's broken, and this unkindness, systemic unkindness is a problem. And that's what's going to be worked on when those kids come of age. Um, we'll find that a lot of them are going to become counselors, doctors, coaches, teachers. They have a passion for righting wrongs and helping others. Um,
So that would be like a whole wave of these older souls coming in now to
yeah,
prepare us and help us. Boy, that's encouraging to hear.
yeah,
And and I really like hearing that because I always worry about the kids that age with all the bullying that's going on. So if that's shifting, boy, that's really music to my ears.
yeah. No, it is. It's really shifting.
Yeah.
It's the kids who are coming in now are just so pure of heart, pure hearts, the highest ideals. There's sort of a wave of people that had been the earth hasn't seen such a large group of these folks since maybe like the 1930s. I don't know why. I just know that that's something that we know over here. So it's interesting.
you say a large group of these folks. You mean
Yeah.
like the souls that are coming
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. The old souls that are coming in. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As a group, they're all really focused on one thing, which is raising the earthly vibration to love more purely, love more deeply, and love the unlovable.
Be more like dogs.
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I
Yeah, totally.
I think that's why dogs have been sent here. They truly are one of the only animals that demonstrate unconditional love. And then, of course, you've got the dog spelled backwards.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
well, that Robbie, that was it was a little heavy, but it was also encouraging um, to see where possibly we're headed, and maybe we've made a turn for the better.
Yeah.
So let's hope so. Was there anything else that you wanted to comment on the subject before I have you return Marty to me?
Oh, hey, no, I think that's about it. I guess the point was made to me that it's really I don't know, it's really really important. That's something that sort of gets overlooked sometimes um, because people are in such a hurry. But when you slow down and take the time, um, yeah, loving the unlovable, very very important human experience that needs work, needs improvement.
Well, I'm gonna hope we have a lot of teachers here with us very, very soon. So,
Yeah.
oh well, thank you, honey.
Mhm.
That was an amazing and really encouraging and uplifting message. I appreciate that. So I'm gonna say my goodbyes to you for now, and I will ask you to return my friend to me.
Okay.
I love you, honey.
Love you too. Ooh, I'm back.
Welcome back. That was a long goodbye. Did Robbie have some parting words?
Oh yeah, yeah, just now. Yeah, yeah. Cute.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you need our contact information for any reason, especially to get a reading from Marty, it'll be at the very end. So until next time, thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.